We're live. Morella, we're live.
Yay!
Alan, we're live.
I
Hey,
don't like
everybody.
it. I'm using my camera.
Awesome. well, welcome to Home Buying with Alan and Eric. I'm Alan.
I'm Eric.
And we're
the home guys.
That's right. And we'll get that timing down right one of these days.
One of these days.
And we have with us today a wonderful woman, our guest, Morella Villacicencio. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
No, you're butchering it, but that's okay. I forgive you.
No, please do it correctly.
Okay, Morella would do. Villacicencio, but Morella would be more than fine.
Morella. She's kind of like Cher or Charo. It's just Morella.
Just Morella. Morella V. Yeah.
Morella V. That's great. That's great.
So we have Morella on tonight. Morella is with Legal Shield, and Alan, you and I both know there's a lot of legal documents. There's a lot of legal stuff that goes into a real estate transaction. So with that said, Morella, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Legal Shield, and how that kind of works in. And throughout, I'm sure Alan and I will have a bunch of questions. I have some questions.
So Legal Shield, I've been with Legal Shield for over 15 years. I changed my career. I'm a product of the product. I was looking to do my will, and a friend of mine recommended it to me. Having Legal Shield is having a law firm. Every area of the law, including real estate. So that's exactly what you invited me here, because we're talking about home buying. So it pertains to that too. So I changed my career. There's a huge need to have, to know what our rights are, where we stand, what our options are. So that's what we help people do, including real estate. All the unlimited advice on, when you're buying, when you're selling, do I need where do I sign documents? Is it okay for me to sign everything? No, we have no idea what we're signing. It's like Russian to us, right? Most of the documents. So I'm all about the mission. It's not about my commission, I like to say. And I thank you so very much for having me here. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this question. So in some states in the United States, it's required to have an attorney at closing. In Florida, it's not.
No.
In Florida, you can have the realtor, and the title company is the one that typically processes everything. And handles the, if you will, legal aspects of it. You can always seek out the advice of an attorney if you choose to, and can afford to. Actually, for some people, it's an affordability issue. How does Legal Shield supplant what an attorney can do to get through a real estate deal in the event that there's some kind of a dispute?
Like you rightly said, in Florida, we do not need an attorney present at the closing. Like in 20 states, we do need one. Like I have a referral just, in preparation for this today. It's very interesting that this lady called me. She's here, but her mom died, and she's in Ohio. There's two things here, right? There's estate planning and there's real estate. So people always ask me, can you help me? The answer is always yes, because we have a law firm that handles every area of the law, right? So I said, absolutely yes. You're gonna send them the document, the power of attorney. That's one, and you're also gonna ask them about, you're going to speak with a real estate specialist, and they're going to tell you if you need an attorney, because she's in Florida, she's not in Ohio. If you need an attorney in Ohio for the closing, right? So that's pertaining to that. Now, on the question about disputes, and if we have a dispute, with a contractor, with with a neighbor, with things can happen, right? So if that were to happen, there's three things that we would need to do. Have an advice from have advice from an attorney, have a letter, a phone call, from an attorney, and if it gets to a dispute, if the matter can be resolved, initiate a lawsuit. If we're initiating a lawsuit, whether if I'm being sued, we have included in the personal plan trial defense hours. If I am the defendant, right? If I'm initiating the lawsuit and I'm suing them, if I'm the plaintiff, then I'm going to have a 25% discount. But all the unlimited advice is going to be there, the letters and phone calls. You see, that's included in the plan.
So Morella, you brought up something interesting that I kind of hadn't thought about before in preparing to talk with you. So there, with a lot of HOAs and condo associations, and you said with neighbors, I've heard of some nightmare stories where somebody's purchased and they've moved in, and then there's been disputes after. Do you have any that come to mind?
Yes. I was years ago. I live in a condo myself.
Okay.
So years ago, they were doing some homework. They were having an assessment, a concrete assessment, thousands of dollars. I was having an assessment of almost $10,000. So I took it upon myself to go out, taking firm signatures, right? I brought a friend of mine who owns a construction company for many years. I went to I made this, I took it, this was my project, because it was affecting not only me, but everyone in our association, right? So I went to the condominium association, to the condominium association, and I sat in the president's office. She threw me away. She's in heaven. She died, not because of me. No, it was a whole thing. But I'm telling you how many. But it was a huge thing. I brought my friend, as I mentioned, and to one of our meetings, and he said, have three bids, right, from different companies. So it was a big thing. But my law firm with Legal Shield, provider law firm, helped me with the advice. And sometimes there's condominium HOA laws are every area of the law is very particular, right? That's why it makes sense to have a law firm that we have access to for everything and anything. So sometimes they tell us things that we don't want to hear. They know the law. They cannot change the law. It happened in this case. This is, having Legal Shield is great. Can they do everything at no cost? Of course not. Can they change the law? They're attorneys. They're not saints. They're not miracle workers. So in this case, at the time, I don't know, we're talking about over 7 years ago, they told me, Morella, do you want to sue them? And I said, I would love to sue them. Well, we're at this time, can you write a letter? I asked. And they have written many letters for me in many other instances, right? Hospitals, internet companies. But in this instance, with the Home Business Association, they told me, this is what happens. You're not a client right now. You're not suing them. So we're not, because it's the home of the how do you call it, the homeowners association, mm-hmm. Condominium law. We cannot do a letter at this time. I didn't like it. I had to swallow it, right? I wanted to sue them. It was going to cost, even with a 25%, because I could do it, right? But I said, you know what? But I did get, but the end, the moral of the story here, I had my advice. It served. I did what I wanted to, accomplish, which was, the assessment. They did the 3 bids and all of that, all because of the advice of my law firm, my provider law firm with Legal Shield. You're with me?
Can you just help enlighten our audience a little more specifically on what the assessment was about and what the potential lawsuit was about?
In this case, in my case, was a concrete work they were doing in my condo.
Right.
Yeah, I was not. Oh, I didn't sue them. I didn't get there. No, I didn't. But I had the advice from my law firm. You see, it's a different story when you're negotiating from a position of power. How do you get there? With the advice of attorneys, right? In this case, I have Legal Shield. I mean, and we're not. I'm always telling people, if you have, we're business people. We know attorneys. I know you do. I do too. I have attorneys in my family. You probably do too. We're not. If you have good attorneys on your side, keep them. Not only good, but if you have a good relationship. I have great relationships with attorneys by Legal Shield. Oh yeah, and I'm keeping it. Having Legal Shield is different. You have it for everything and anything.
My question is, what exactly was the concrete issue? There was an assessment. This was a purchase you made? Is that correct?
No, this is where I live. In my condominium where I live.
Were you already living there?
Yeah. This is where I live still. Yeah.
And there was an assessment for concrete work.
Yeah.
So what exactly was the issue, though? That's what I'm not quite clear on.
Oh, that it was a lot of money. $10,000. Excuse me. It was not, for $1,000, $2,000. No.
So no. This is really important because this will help other people understand the whole home buying process. Mm-hmm. So there was an assessment that was $10,000 per unit in the condominium.
Yes, and different units, right? 2 units, 3 units. It was different from 6,000 to
square foot. Okay.
Yeah, over $1,000. Yeah.
Okay, so this was voted on by the HOA?
Voted on?
Did the HOA vote on the assessment? Because they have to do that.
Did the HOA what again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first.
On the assessment.
Vote? I imagine so. I don't know. I don't know. All I can tell you.
What exactly the issue was.
The issue was that it was a lot of money, and I just wanted to make sure: are they doing what they're supposed to do? The condominium association at the time, we don't have them anymore. We fired them. Yes, and I'm so happy.
Okay.
And it's a lot of money. So are you following the steps you have to follow to have this thing, correctly done?
Okay.
All right, with our best interest at hand.
Okay.
That's what I just wanted to make sure.
So I have a good takeaway from all of that, because from a lending side, and we're going to stick with condos, and there's a lot of condos down here in South Florida. There's actually two approvals that happen when you're buying a condo. There's the home buyer, then there's the condo association. And I'm not knocking any specific condo associations. I'm going to say some work better than others. So I think it's very important to cover yourself, whether you're buying a single family. People always ask, do we need like we talked about last week, Alan, an inspector? Do I really need this much insurance? And what we're talking about again is the biggest purchase of your life. You want to be, or in the top 3 or top 4 top purchases of your life. It's a very large monetary sum that we're talking about. So you want to be fully covered.
Right.
And in your case, and with condos and certain HOAs, there are assessments that can happen. And if you're not on the board, if it's a smaller one, you definitely want to be protected. So that's an excellent point that you brought up, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. And it's one that a lot of our members call and to have help with, refinancing, dealing with HOA, building codes. There's a myriad of different issues, right?
And another thing you want to look at is you want to look at the financial situation of the HOA. For instance, you want to look at what kind of reserves do they have? Are they in the black? Are they in the red? Do they have enough money that you won't get hit with some kind of assessment, or are all of a sudden you're going to get hit with an assessment because it's an older building, the roofs look like they're not in good shape. And probably it makes a lot of sense because the average consumer is not going to be that savvy or have the time, whatever, to look at those things. So it's probably a good idea to have an attorney look over the bylaws, to look over the financial statements, and look over those things so that they can then properly advise the buyer. And then again, in that case, do you hire, your private attorney who might cost X amount versus having a company like Legal Shield that will be at a fraction of the cost? Do you have anything, Eric, that you can add that they should look over?
So in Florida with the FAR bar as his contract, I say it's pretty straightforward, but I look at them every day. And I will say that with the amount of people that are moving, I'm going to single out New York and New Jersey. There's a lot of, if you buy a home in New York, you're using an attorney. So a lot of these folks they want to review the entire contract. They're reviewing the contract for days ahead of time. And so I'm guessing is that one of the things that Legal Shield, if I had a client and Alan and I had a client and they really wanted to dive in and they say they don't trust us or whatever, and they want an attorney.
How can they not?
Well,
I know.
they're dead set. They want an attorney. They have to have somebody. Is that something that Legal Shield would walk through and they would review the contract?
Absolutely. And thank you for asking that, because we just we had this, there's a clause, there's hidden clause. That's why contract specialists exist, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, every area of law, some people ask me, contract specialist, really? Yes, really. There's no such a thing as a standard contract. So there's this couple in Fort Worth, Texas. They lost their home. They were building a home and they lost it because of this. I'm looking at my notes. Because of this termination for convenience clause. Excuse me, they lost it, okay? The home builder walked away and then listed the home for $110,000 more than the price that the family originally agreed to pay, right? That exit ramp on the deal. So it goes to show you how crucial it is to don't sign anything. Bring an attorney on board, whomever, your trusted attorney, but bring someone that knows,
And that's a great point, because I did hear about that. Maybe you even told me about that. But new construction, because Alan and I were dealing with a sales contract. A lot of times the house is already built, we're reselling. So there's a whole, with a builder, there's a whole nother set of contracts. And I'll be honest, I'm not overly familiar with the different builder contracts that are out there. I don't know about you, Alan.
Well, I'm going to, actually speaking about new construction and contracts and the clauses, and, you have to look at the HOA docs as well and bylaws, and, contracts are written by whatever party is initiating the contracts, and they're always written in their favor, always. So it's important to look at the contract from your point of view, because there might be things that you might need to change. But my wife and I are actually looking at new construction right now in Mexico. And in the contract, we're looking at a condo. And new construction, in the contract or in the documents, they have 4 months leeway to be ready with the condo. So it's scheduled to close in December, but they give themselves up to 4 months. If it's not completed within 4 months, then according to the verbiage that I have read, they will pay us $50 a day. Well, I still want to have legal representation to look at everything completely for two reasons. Number one, it's because it's buying a condominium, and it's buying a big purchase. And number two, it's because it's another country.
Yeah.
Is that something that Legal Shield can help with?
Mexico? Not
Yes.
yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No.
So it's
USA
not-
and Canada.
Okay,
Get a
so
home in Canada.
Legalo Shieldo?
Huh?
It's not Legalo Shieldo?
No, not yet. We'll be. I think we'll get to Puerto Rico before we get to Mexico. I
Well,
hope.
you can go to Canada, Alan. You just trade in your golf clubs for hockey sticks. And
I have to trade them in for ski equipment, which I got rid of a few years ago. No.
But
Well,
that's exciting, Alan. You're getting a home in Mexico, Puerto Vallarta. Yay!
we're looking into it, yes. Ay
wonderful.
caramba.
That's great.
Yeah. Well,
awesome.
Morella, is there anything else that you'd like to add about how you can help our viewers with getting through the process?
Just get those contracts reviewed by your attorney, Legal Shield, whomever, but get an attorney involved. That would
Right.
be, that would be one of my advice.
Right.
My biggest pieces of advice. Because there's a number of things. If you're the seller, if there's a lien that you haven't been able to get out of the picture, you most definitely want an attorney on
Right.
board. Right? If you're the buyers, the loan documents, they will be drafted, include what with Legal Shield I'm talking, right? So there's a number of things, that and buying a house, it's exciting. It's still fine for a lot of people, right? So that's why you have to bring on board experts and people that experience professionals like you too, right? The real estate agent, the mortgage agent, broker, to bring them experience. They have the best interest, your client's best interest at heart. So
Right.
you deal with, to know who you're dealing with. And yes, I want to say this last thing about contractors, home contracting, the home contracting industry. There's a lot of people doing repairs, buying the homes, getting, betterments and doing, things to the houses, to the properties they're selling, they're buying, whatever it is, do your due diligence, find out the references. Are they licensed? Are they insured?
Yes.
Do they
Well,
have
one
the?
thing I'd like to add about the contractors is there are contractors who will demand X amount of money up front. Sometimes it's half and half, half up front, half on completion. Sometimes it's a third, and a third. But many times their contractors will take money and then they disappear.
Yes.
So that's an important thing.
I've never heard of that happening.
Never.
It's never happened.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, this was great, Morella.
Thank you
I
for
have
having
nothing else
me.
to add, Eric.
Morella, we love you. Thank you so
We
much.
love you. I love you too. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. This was terrific. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
And we
guys.
hope that everybody got some value out of this episode. And we hope you all join us next week, Monday night at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll see you next time.
See you. Thank you.